It's all yours.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Jenny Elrod, and I am the Executive Director at Goodwin Living's Home and Community-Based Services. And I run their home care and their age in place program called Goodwin Living at Home. And one of the things that we do is we partner with our local villages to help our members and to help people in the community who are aging in place with different topics. And this was a hot topic over the last year, and especially since COVID started. So today I'm going to talk to you about Stay Home Shop Smart Online Grocery Shopping 101 with Instacart. As we go along, feel free to, put a question in the chat. We're going to look at a few slides to start, and then I'm going to move to a live demo so you can actually see how to use the system. You can feel free to bring up your computer at home, your iPad, or your phone, and go along with me if you want to. So let's go ahead and start here, right? So you have a lot of options when it comes to online shopping. And so there are different companies out there. If you go online, you can shop with something called Flip or Fresh, which is Amazon, Instacart. There's something called Shipped, AnyList, Amazon Prime Pantry, Fresh Direct. There are so many different options for you. I am an active user because I commute to Northern Virginia from Maryland, and I have a lot of issues with arthritis, and we live in a raised rancher, and we need help bringing things up the steps a lot. And so for me, and my husband, who's getting ready to retire, we go ahead and we use a lot of Instacart for delivery to help us out with those shopping. And so I'm going to kind of share my tips and tricks as we go through this as well and what I've learned. But I think most importantly, why do people online shop? And I think a lot of this grew very rapidly during COVID because we were all home. But it's very convenient. It's accessible for a lot of people. It's very time saving. I don't know how many people used to go to the warehouse stores like Costco's or BJ's, and you would wait in line, these long lines to get your groceries and loading your car and all that. And you don't really have to do any of that. There's a lot of product variety, so everything you can get in the store, you can typically order online and have it delivered. Delivery can be done, some of the stores offer putting it in your trunk where you just pull up. Other stores actually offer delivery to your home. And some stores, I haven't tested it yet, like Walmart, are starting to offer putting groceries away for you as well. So there's a lot of things. This is a rapidly growing option for people and something great for seniors as you're aging in place and you just want some assistance. It's pretty easy to navigate what I'm going to show you today. It's safe, right? So you don't have to worry about hurting yourself lifting things and all that if you're in the store. What's great that I really like is that it saves your preferences. And so you can literally set up a recurring order that's the same items that you get weekly, or it'll just bring those items up and make it really quick and easy for you to choose. A lot of people who like technology, they find it fun. It's easy to just go on and do this. You can do gift shopping. So there was one year with COVID that I bought a lot of gift cards. I bought stuff from Target and different places that were actually gifts online, so you can do that. And there are some cost savings, but there are also some additional costs that you're going to pay to have this service. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And more importantly, I think it keeps us independent and lets us continue to manage what we want as far as our groceries. And if we cook at home or if we prefer prepared meals, you have a lot of options with online shopping. So next, we're going to focus our discussion today on Instacart. One of the reasons why I'm doing that is because Instacart has a senior and specialized support line. You can see here on the screen, there's an 800 number that you can call between 8 a.m. and 11 p.m. So if you're trying to do something on your phone, tablet, or computer for the first time, and you can use Instacart on any of those modalities. I typically do it from my cell phone, and it makes it quick and easy. But if you have an issue, you can call that number. They specialize in supporting seniors who are aging in place and trying to get their groceries, and they'll work with you to assist in any way they can. And that's one of the reasons I really like Instacart. So next, we're going to talk a little bit about signing up an account setup. I'm going to walk through the next slide or two, and then I'm actually going to go and show you Instacart and do a live demo. So on your computer or your iPad, you can go to instacart.com, or you can download the app from the App Store, Instacart, and you'll see it has this little carrot with the green arrow that you've seen on the screens here. You're going to click sign up. You enter your email, name, and password. You can verify your phone number for account security, so it's part of that multi-factor authentication. And then you add in your delivery address so you can tell them where to go. And some of the things that we're going to talk about is navigating the website, how you choose your preferred store, because if you like to shop at certain stores, most stores are starting to offer online and delivery options. Not every store does, but you can usually find your store. You can create shopping lists that you can easily reorder from. We're going to review some delivery options. We're going to talk a little bit about substitution preferences, and this is going to be really important. Sometimes there are promo codes that you can use to get discounts, how you confirm your payments, track your order, and the delivery type that you choose. And let's see here. The one thing I want to really encourage is that when you set up your account, make sure you're using a strong, unique password. I don't know if anybody's had their identity stolen. I've had it twice in the last 5 years. It's been very stressful. So please use strong and unique passwords. Avoid sharing account details or passwords with others. The nice thing about Instacart is that you can set up family accounts. So if you have a neighbor or one of your kids wants to set up this account for you, and they can add you to their account so you can do joint orders. There's secure payment methods with credit card or PayPal. And as always, you would continue to monitor your account for any unauthorized purchases. Just to give you an idea, and you're going to see it shortly in the demo, is you can always choose your favorite grocery store. You're going to see a lot of lists of local grocery stores that are partnered with Instacart. Here's just a few examples. Here's Teeter, Wegmans, Aldi, Giant, Safeway, Costco, Target. There's many, many stores that you can shop from. The Fresh Market here off of King Street, a lot of different things that you have an option for. And if you're a person that prefers like organic products or specialty items, you can select stores that specialize in that, and you can add multiple stores to shop from. So let's go ahead and move to the live demo. So let me bring this up. All righty. So everybody should now be able to see my screen with Instacart. Okay, so this is what the Instacart screen looks like. As I mentioned, you go to instacart.com/store. And basically, when you come here, you're going to have an option in the upper right-hand corner to log in or sign up. And as I mentioned, you would go to sign up and you would create your account by entering in your basic information. I'm just going to go ahead and navigate to my account so you can see what that looks like. And so here, if we go to the account, let's see. I'm not having any luck here today. Sorry about that. Okay, so what you can do is the account settings tab has your email address, your name, your phone number, and you'll need to verify that, or although you can still order without verifying your number. And then there's a few things if you need auto loading of page content. There's different things. I don't really worry about all this. What is important for you to look at in your account settings is you can set your smart shop preferences. So who you're shopping for, do you have a dog or a cat? So it's making sure it's only bringing up those items that pertain to the type of pet you have. If you have dietary preferences, you can select that if you're a pescatarian or lactose free or gluten free, and then it'll make sure it's always bringing up those items that fall into your preferences. So that is under the Smart Shop preferences. There is something called Instacart Plus, and I don't own stock in Instacart or anything like this, but I will tell you I am an Instacart Plus person because I use Instacart at least twice a month. And so I like to get the $0 on delivery fees. And they also have some other member perks that you can look at here. And you can also get some restaurant delivery fees or $0 on that as well. It costs $99 a year after you get a free 14-day trial. And I have found that extremely beneficial. So that's Instacart Plus. The other thing that I'd mentioned briefly was something called starting a family account. And so here you can actually add family members to your cart. If you have a caregiver who lives in your home, a family member, or if they have somebody, your adult children, they want to add you to their cart, so you can all go in on one order. You have that option. You simply click on this and follow the directions. And then you can put in your addresses, where you want your deliveries. And if you have a home in another state that you go to on a regular basis, you can put both addresses. And if there's stores near you, it will actually pop up the stores when you select that address in the zip code. So if you have a beach house, you're going to the beach, you can do stuff like that and have orders sent to you at the beach. Payment methods, you can always put your debit and credit card. I do not like to save my debit or credit card information in the system. I add it each time, and that's because I've had identity theft issues. So I don't like to store any of my debit or credit cards, but you can, and that is an option. If you're comfortable with that, you would set that up in payment methods. And then here, under credits, promos, or gift cards, you can always look to see if there's a promotion. And for example, if I wanted to do a first order at a store, they might have a special here that the minimum required is only $10. Usually the minimum tends to be over $30 that you have to order, but these are available to you here, so you can always check your promos to see if there's any discounts you can use. And then notification settings. So this is important, so you can get notifications set up to your phone. I send text messages, but you can have them call you before the shopper checks out. You can get push notifications directly to your phone. And if you want marketing, which I don't usually do the marketing updates, but the text messages is really important because when my shopper's in the store, I have this set up. So they can text me and say, hey, they're out of this. What are my options? They'll actually take a pic and send it to you and say, hey, do you want one of these? And that is really helpful. Or if there's something you forgot to put on your list, sometimes you can't add things after it's already set with some stores, but some stores will allow the shopper to have flexibility, like at Costco, and you can add stuff and just tell them, hey, I forgot to add a box of popcorn. Can you go ahead and pick that up for me? And they will go ahead and do that. And then last but not least, if you have loyalty cards, so that give you a discount at the stores like Costco, a membership card, or BJ's, or Wegmans, or other stores where, you're getting rewards. This is where you enter in your card information. You do it the first time and it maintains it for you for the long term. So that is how you set up your account. And One of the things that we already talked about, how to keep your account secure. You want to make sure you have that long password and things like that. But let's talk a little bit about how do we go ahead and shop. So the nice thing about when you shop is we're going to go back to the main Instacart screen, and you can always click on Instacart here, and it'll take you back to the store options. Up in this right-hand corner, this is important. If you set up multiple address, like you have a separate home in another state, as I mentioned, you just want to make sure you've selected the home that you want to shop from, because then the store choices will change. They'll be the ones in closest proximity to that home. Here is a cart. I actually have two orders in process, one with Costco and one with Fresh Market. We'll talk a little bit about that, but this is where you start. So all you have to do is select the store that you want to go to, and there are some minimums, and you'll see here there are some things highlighted. Like, let's say we wanted to go to Walgreens, you'll notice they have $5 off. I don't know what that's $5 off is, may or may not be worth it, but I'll look at it and they'll pop up things related to my preferences that I can add and shop for. And so here, let's say I just wanted to pick up cotton balls. I'm going to say cotton balls. I just type in cotton balls. I click add to cart. They'll give me the different choices, which are sizes oftentimes. And once I've selected it, you'll see it now says one. If I want 2 bags of cotton balls, I pick 2. They also tend to put the store brands in there, so these are always Walgreens. You can get other cotton balls and things like that, not just their store brand. Like if we wanted Q-tips, instead of getting Walgreens, we could get regular Q-tips. And all you do is you click on it, you add it, and then the next time you shop in the store, these things are going to pop up as something that you like and that you would order. And so as I'm ordering this stuff, then you'll notice my cart now says 2. So I have 2 items for Walgreens that total $8.28. And remember when we saw that $5 off at Walgreens, what did that mean? Basically, that's $5 off an order of $35 or more. So basically, if I wanted to take advantage of that, which they would automatically apply, you can see here it says add $26.72 to get your $5 off. I tend to not be, I like to just get what I get and that's it. I'm not a big coupon shopper, but I do use the coupons online. And so if you don't have to spend that amount, but if you don't have the minimum order amount, they will let you know. So for example, here, I have $8.28. I'm going to go ahead and see down here, it says $10 minimum to check out. So it won't even let me check out because I haven't ordered the minimum. So I'm going to go back here, and I saw Band-Aids down here. I'm going to add Band-Aids. Now, if I go to checkout, you'll see I can go to checkout for $12.07. And it became available to me. It lists your address. And again, you want to make sure you're sending it to the right address. I'll be honest, one time we were down at the beach. Where were we? We were in Tennessee. We were at a cabin, and I ordered something for the house. And when we got home, we wondered where our groceries were. They were sitting on the front porch. They'd been there for like 3 days. So just keep that in mind when you're ordering. It will also give you priorities. Because I am an Instacart Plus member, I get a lot of free delivery options. Typically, you will get an option here. If you don't join the Instacart Plus, it might say, hey, if you want your groceries delivered in the next hours, you have to pay $3.99. Or if you want it fast within the next 2 hours, you have to pay $1.99. Because I have Instacart Plus, all those priority deliveries are free for me. Again, that's that $99 a year thing. And then they also give you options when they're really busy. They'll offer this schedule and save. If you can wait a few hours, they'll give you $2 off. You know, so a lot of this is based on the volumes and what things look like for them. And so to finish your order, you go back, you add your payment method. And this is where I was saying I typically try not to save my credit card information. You just save it for this one order. And then you put in your information, you do the I'm not a robot, etc. And then if you want something that's a gift, and I've done this, so like I ordered something for a friend of mine for her birthday, and it was from Target, and I wanted to make it a gift. If you do this and you say make it a gift, you can put the name and the phone number and their name, and you can select like the gift cards. They have a lot of gift card options you can add a personal message, just like if you were going to a florist. You can do that here. And this is always nice. So if you're kind of stuck last minute or you can't go somewhere and you have to cancel, you can always make something a gift. To the right here, it will always summarize the number of items, the standard fee, and the service fee. I'm going to click on the I. So the service fee is, in this case, $3.99. And this is one of the standard fees that you have to pay for them to maintain the shoppers who do the shopping for you. And so you have to be careful because this looks great, right? It says $16.78, so I'm paying $12 for my groceries, $4 for my service fee, 72 cents tax. But then there's a tip to the driver. So you've got to remember that there's a tip on top of this. Now, it's not going to let me go there, but what I will tell you for tips is what I try to do kind of as a matter of course for when I'm shopping is if you have a lot of steps or something like that up to your home or where they're dropping off your groceries or you're getting a lot of heavy items. Most stores will add upcharges to heavy items like cases of water or cases of soda or things like that. If you want a bag of charcoal for your grill, they might add an upcharge like an extra $2 fee. And if you go into the store, and I'll give you a perfect example, Wegmans, and let me see if I can bring Wegmans up here. Um, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to select Wegmans, Instacart. Wegmans is one of these stores where if you buy something there on a regular basis, like my husband really likes the Wegmans, the pre-made salads. And so like here, if I go down, they have this large Cobb salad with chicken. If I go in the store, this salad is usually $12.99, $13.99. But online, they do upcharges of these items. So you are paying more money for your items. So be aware of that. So if you go into the store and you're like, why am I doing this? They are upcharging the items. Wegmans especially does that. All the stores do it to a certain degree. There's no kind of standard. But what's really interesting is one of my team members started doing this for fun on the side, and she became a shopper for people who were, wanted Instacart. And what she was telling me, and this is just a tip and trick I'm sharing with you, is according to Instacart, prices increase between 2 to 4 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays because they consider those prime busy hours. So if you shop during those times, you're going to pay higher prices for all of your foods. So you
Jenny,
want to
is there a
avoid the
way,
afternoons.
is
Go
there,
ahead.
if you're shopping online like this, is there a way to know which of these items are being upcharged?
No. You know, there was one time where I did an order and the salad was like 15.99, and I went in the store and it was 12.99. I said, "Oh my God, it was $3 more. I can't believe I paid that." And then when I looked back, I realized I did it in the afternoon on the weekend. Um, and so I just attributed it to that. But these do change. And some stores change them more frequently than others. It just depends upon which store you're going to. But I have not figured out a way to know that. Um, so let's go back. We were doing an order with, you can see here now. My home screen shows that I have an order with Costco that I've started for 4 grocery items are in my basket. The Fresh Market, 3 items, and Walgreens, 3 items. What you have to remember is the fees and stuff that you're paying for apply to each shopping cart. So you're going to get your tax separately, your delivery fee, and your tip on each of these. So what I tend to do is only buy from one store in a week because I don't want to pay lots of tips and grocery fees. And as far as kind of troubleshooting, if you have an issue with your order, so I always have them do contactless delivery. So please deliver it and leave it on my front porch. Please remember that, especially during the summer months, when you order or when you have the delivery is going to be key, because if you can't get to those groceries immediately, you don't want them sitting on your porch in the sun or in the heat for very long. You want to make sure you're home. So I typically will never order unless I am home or somebody else is home that can immediately grab the order. One time my daughter ordered like these zero sugar fudge bars, and we had 2 big boxes that were just goo because they sat on the porch for like 30 minutes. So you do have to consider that, especially in the summer months. Um, and on occasion, you're going to get an order and items are going to be missing. It happens. I will say it doesn't happen as much as it happened initially. I was using Instacart kind of when they first started. Um, but you can call that number that we talked about for seniors and, speak to them about missing items. Typically, what they'll do is they'll credit you every once in a while. And this happened to me last year once. I had a big order. It was like a $300-$400 order. I had lots of cases of drinks. And the delivery person was delivering my order and somebody else's order. And I got half of somebody else's order and half of my order. And I was beside myself because I'm bringing in stuff and I'm like, I don't eat corn on the cob and I don't eat like this kind of stuff. And I'm like, what is all this? And typically, what Instacart will do is if you notify them, they're not going to ask you to give the groceries back and somebody will come get them. They'll typically tell you to keep them and they'll do another order for the missing items. However, if you have multiple orders with missing items, I had a friend of mine that like 3 times in a row she had missing items. I guess Instacart said, hey, this is unusual to have 3 occurrences in a row of missing items. And they did not credit her back. They said she would have to reorder. I've never experienced that. I've never had an issue with that because it's kind of rare that I have something that's missing. Um, but just be aware, there are options for you to get replacements. Typically, the person who comes to your door with groceries, it's like the Amazon driver. They're going to take a picture of them leaving it on your porch. Another friend of mine used it up in Illinois, and they did the picture and it was not of her house. They put the groceries on her neighbor's doorstep, not hers. I don't know how they did that, but they did that. So occasionally that kind of stuff happens, but I will tell you, in the last year, I've experienced it once in a year. And I do order typically at least once or twice a month. So one of the things I want to talk about is tipping etiquette. And this is purely kind of what I do because I've learned over the last 3 or 4 years using this service. Um, I always create a base tip. I do 10%. And I know you might be going, holy cow, that's not too much, right? But I do 10% for a reason because if I have a really big order, sometimes, like I said, I have steps going up to my house and I really need them to carry the big cases of things and put them on my porch because it's easier for us to get them in the house as opposed to having to carry them up the steps. And I know they're already doing a surcharge on those items and I'm paying for that. So I typically do a base tip of 10%. And if it's a really complex order, or there's a lot of things, like I had an order where we were doing a big party at the house and it was like a $500 order because I got lots of cases of stuff and everything was in bulk. I did tip higher, but typically I do 10%. And you set that up through the app. And I set that up initially when I put in my order. But then after they complete your order, you have now an idea of how did they communicate with you when they were in the store? Did they tell you this item was missing? You know, did they not? What does that look like? I take that into consideration. And then at the end, I'll add an additional $10, $15, $20, depending upon the delivery. But remember, it's 10% of your total order. So if you're getting a $300 order, that's a $30 tip. So you can always add to it, but once you give them that tip, it's kind of hard to take it away. So just keep that in mind. One of the things that I also wanted to share that I think is really important for all of you to know, and this time I'm going to click on Costco. So I have an order started here and I have 4 things in my cart. Now you can see here, I have the Kirkland Signature Purified Water. Underneath here, underneath each of these 4 items, there's something that says Add Instructions. So if you click Add Instructions, what you can do is you can say, if this item is not available, pick a replacement. So you can select that. And it'll let you select a different water option. So I might go with the Deer Park this time. You have an option to select Replace with Best Match, which means you let the shopper do that. I'll be honest, I'm picky. And so my shoppers tend to not pick the things I would like. Like, so I don't typically select that option. Or you can say refund it. So if it's not available, you just refund it and they will not even ask you on checkout if the item's not available. The system will just send you a text message to say, do you confirm this item's not available? So you have options to do this, and this is really important. So like for me, I would do a replacement for water. And once you save this, anytime you order that water moving forward, it will save those instructions. So you only have to enter it the one time. So now I want to talk a little bit about things that are measured when you're ordering. So let's talk about bananas. You're going to laugh, but there are some stores that do it by pounds. So you can see here that Costco does it by pounds. And then there are other stores that do it by number of bananas. So I had one time ordered 2 pounds of bananas and I got 2 little bananas. That's it. And I wanted like, 8 bananas, right? So remember that when you're ordering something that has a quantity, like let's say you want to do maybe avocados. You have to make sure you know how, like this specifically says a 6 count. But if you go to a store like Harris Teeter or Safeway or Giant, it might say per pound or how many avocados do you want. So you need to pay attention to that when we're ordering. So I'm going to go back and show you. Let's go to Giant here. And I'm going to do avocados. And so you can see here, they're very clear. It says 1 each. And And then this is $1.99 for this avocado. If we do bananas, this, so all these weighted items, they do it by the pound here. I think it's Walmart that might do it by the number of bananas. And so you have options. And typically, if you see two items like this, one is regular and one is organic. And you can see here, this is the organic bananas because they're usually at a higher price. So just something to consider. But again, just keep that in mind as you're ordering. I went back to the other store after I'd ordered the bananas where I said I thought it was pounds and they ordered the number. And I didn't pay attention the next time I ordered because I thought, well, I want 8 bananas, right? Which is about 2 pounds, 2.5 pounds. And I put 8 in. I was on the wrong store. They did it by pounds. I got 8 pounds of bananas. So you just have to kind of like pay attention to that. There's lots of things that you can search for. So if there's certain items that you want, like that are not grocery, Instacart, you can get something from Lowe's if you know you need a shovel, a snow shovel, because you forgot to buy one before the big snowstorm. You can order the snow shovel, add it to your cart. You can buy one item if they allow you that, and you can have that delivered. So you have a lot of different items, not just groceries. All the stores here, like you can see, there's Sephora, there's Petco, Staples, Michaels, the Home Depot, Dick's Sporting Good, Dollar Trees. You have so many options here for shopping, and it will show you all those different things. If you want Total Wine and more, you can get things like that delivered. And I just clicked in order to see kind of when their delivery's available. Some stores, if let's say it's before a bad storm and everybody knows there's a storm coming, a lot of people will start putting online orders in. Sometimes you can't get deliveries the same day. But you can also order ahead by a few days. So if you click on the arrow when you're on the home screen here, it's going to take you to a summary where it shows you the store and how soon their earliest delivery is. So you can see here, if I wanted to get something at Costco, the earliest I could get is noon. But if I wanted to do something from CVS, I could get it by 11:15. And what time is it? You know, that's like within 35 minutes. So there are a lot of options for you here. If you're somebody who doesn't want them to deliver to your home and you want to do pickup, you can click this item. It's showing all the stores in Alexandria because I have my Fillmore address here. And it will show you all the stores where you can actually, they'll bag the items and either put them in your trunk. You drive up to the curb and they'll put them in, or you just run into the store, or they'll bring them out. So these are the stores here that will actually do those types of deliveries. They're typically not the larger stores like the Costco's or BJ's. They're more like the grocery stores, Fresh Market, Aldi, Wegmans, Harris Teeter. If getting something fast is the most important, you can click on fastest and it will tell you how quickly you can pick it up. Or if you uncheck the pickup and you just want to know which has the fastest delivery, if I order groceries, I can get them in the next 15 minutes by the Fresh Market Express. So it's really a powerful tool to help you navigate shopping. And I think it's a very helpful tool. The other thing is you can see here there's offers. Remember, we saw that Walgreens had $5 off, Petco has $10 off, Lowe's has $20 off. So you can actually get discounts here that you won't get if you walk in the store. But remember, you're paying if you don't do the Instacart Plus, you're going to pay for delivery and you're going to pay for your tip. So you kind of have to balance, does that really make sense having or using that discount? I'm one of these people, I don't pay as much attention to the discount. If it works, great, and I'm shopping at that store, but I don't shop just for the discount. But some people do. So it depends upon what you're interested in. And then the other thing that they have in here, if you want to see, like this will list in-store prices. I haven't had this super helpful because it just says low prices. And then the new button will actually show you if there's new stores that have just started being available through Instacart. So like this one is Lush. I don't know what Lush is. I've never used it. But new stores will come up here, and there's now a halal supermarket that's online with Instacart. So this is very powerful if you want to get a sense of, what you're looking for specifically. One other thing that I think is important, and this happens a lot because we're all getting medications, you can actually click on pharmacy. And if you want to know how quickly the earliest medication pickup is, they can deliver to you CVS or Walgreens here both by 11:15. And Walgreens has that $5 that would apply. I don't know if that would apply to the drug pickup, but so if you want your pharmacy stuff, you have options here as well. Now, if I change my address and I go back to my Goodwin House, Bailey's Crossroads, they're pretty close, so it's the same stores. But if I had a house here in another state, then it would pop up what those options were in that other state. So I have used this sometimes if we're just on a vacation. It's not a house we own. We're just going to, Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And I've used this if I had to, like I broke out, I got poison ivy and I had to get a prescription. And I went here and I did it and I had delivery to my cabin in the mountains, right? So you have a lot of options and it can be really powerful. Wow, so that was a lot of information in a short period of time. Um, any other questions that you have? Anything that I can answer you'd like me to show you how to do while we're in the demo mode for the screen?
When do you get a text alert or any kind of notification when they drop off a delivery?
Yes, you actually get text alerts if you go to your account and you go to your, let's see here. Let me see, account settings, notification settings. You can get emails, you can get push notifications that'll pop up on top of your phone. You can get text messages. I like the text messages because my home email has thousands of unopened emails. So what they'll do is they'll text me to confirm that my order has been placed and they're going to start shopping for it. They text me once they start shopping. There are some stores, Walmart in particular, that will not allow you to change your order once they start shopping. And you can't add anything, but there's a lot of stores that are really flexible with that. And then you can actually chat with your shopper while they're in the store. And like, let's say you wanted something like a cake and you're like, I need a birthday cake. What are my options? They can take some pictures and you can say, oh, give me the one there that has the red, green, and blue balloon. And have them write happy birthday, Sam on it. And they'll do that for you. So, that's what the text messages are for. When they're on their way, they'll text you and show you they're on your way, and you can actually click and see where their car is in proximity to your home, where they're driving from. They'll text you once they arrive, and then they text you the picture once they've left the groceries, so you see your front door and your groceries sitting on the steps if you've set up contactless delivery, and they'll do all that. So lots of text communication. That's my personal preference, but you do have options here.
Next question, are all online grocery shopping companies reliable? And how can folks in other parts of the country learn about these services?
So I would say most of the time I've had no issues from ordering from any of the stores, with the exception of Walmart. And Walmart, this is what I've learned, so you may laugh at this, but when there's bad weather, the Walmart people don't like to do delivery. So if it's raining, they'll typically bump my delivery to the next day. It's just, it's one of the things that I've learned. And I think it's unique to each locale that you're in and which stores you shop in. But I would say the big stores, like the regular grocery stores and the Costco's, BJ's, Wegmans, Fresh Market, they're all very, very consistent. And as far as other people around the country, what's really interesting is I did this presentation for our Goodwin Living at Home members, and it got out to a bunch of people. I've done presentations for a couple different villages now. And this is really how we're just trying to build awareness for seniors because this is such a powerful and easy tool that you can use, or your adult children or your neighbors can use if you need help to get things. The one downside of this is there is expense to it, the tips, the delivery fees. And I mean, the tax is typical, just like anything you would normally pay. But a lot of times the food is upcharged, right? Because you're buying online and there's a private grocer. So you just have to keep that in mind. And it's not always as affordable for people. So like my daughter, I have a family account set up and she's been out of work. And so I'll add groceries to my order for her. So they don't have to pay separately. So those are things to consider. But if you know of anybody else who'd like me to do this presentation, I'm absolutely open. I've done it several times and I'll continue to do it to raise awareness that it's an available option.
Okay, we've got a comment here from somebody who's used Instacart to order things for her sister who can't lift heavy things. And
Mhm.
she said, often when she orders heavy stuff, the shopper delivers everything but the heavy items, which kind of defeats the
Ooh,
whole purpose. So I don't know
right.
if anybody else is having similar.
Well, I'll give you an example of something that happened to us. So, they'll send you a picture of who your shopper is, just kind of like if you were using an Uber, they have a picture. And we had somebody, and we were her first shop. And it was that big shop when we were having a family party and get together, and we had all these cases of drinks. And the lady was probably 4'10", weighed maybe 85 pounds. And we had like 8 cases of different drinks, sodas, tea, that kind of stuff. And she struggled to carry them up our steps and put them on our porch. And what ended up happening was she couldn't do it. And she basically said to my husband, I can't lift these. And my husband had to go out and basically bring in everything from her car. I'm going to be honest, people remember you. So if you tip well, they'll take care of you usually. But if you get a shopper maybe you didn't tip well or you didn't give a good rating to, they may not. I mean, it is, I think the reality. Um, but what they could do, and in that circumstance, it maybe if they didn't want to do it, they just said the items weren't available. And I guess they can do that, but that's unfortunate.
What about people who don't have a computer? Can you use these services over the phone?
Absolutely. I actually never use the computer for Instacart. I'm just using it today to show you. I use my cell phone. And so it's much easier to use my cell phone doing Instacart than anything else. And so I love it on my cell phone. So you can do it on an iPad, whatever, and you don't have to have a certain size phone with a big screen. You just have to have a smartphone.
You mentioned $99 for the preferred service. Is the regular subscription free? and you just pay for the deliveries?
Correct.
Okay.
So if you go to the account, this is where you can find information about the $99 plus per year. For the amount of times that I'm using it, which is usually twice a month, it's for me, it makes sense, right? But if you're only going to use it once every 6 months, it may not make sense for you to use it. But remember, this is not just for one store. This is Instacart for any of the stores that Instacart has. You just pay $99 a year.
You talked about ordering things like bananas and avocados. Well, I like to shop for stuff like that in person because I don't want to get a bunch of bruised bananas or avocados that are
Right.
so unripe you could drive a nail with them. What's the quality of what you get delivered versus what you can pick out yourself in the store?
It's really all over the board, I will tell you. Well, the one thing that's important is to stay in communication with your shopper. So if there's something, like I'll give you an example. You can buy when you go to like Wegmans, you can buy like their fresh salads, or you can buy those salads that are pre-made, right? And they're kind of like sealed. Like this is an example of one of them. It's a relatively cheap salad. It's 4.09. And what we were finding is they would, and it was not always the same shopper, but they would pick salads that expired the next day, right? Or the same day. And we're like, I pay attention to the expiration date. So what I'll do to my shopper is I'll say, please make sure the expiration date is at least 4 days out, like not before whatever date. And they're usually pretty good about paying attention to that. I find some of the shoppers are better than others. I was laughing with my husband because I thought the men didn't shop as well as the women. I'll just put it out there. And my husband was like, I don't agree. And then all of a sudden, I had a bunch of male shoppers, and they were stellar. They were sending me pictures and like, hey, everything looks like it's expiring tomorrow. Do you just want me to get something else? So it just depends upon the shopper. But I haven't really seen like male or female. It doesn't really make a difference so much as there are just some good shoppers and there are some that just are not as good or as communicative.
Okay, do we have any other questions, comments for people in the audience that use these services? Do you have one that you like or one that you would not recommend? Otherwise, we're closing in on 11 o'clock.
Right, Jenny, I was just going to ask you, how often do you do the online shopping?
I do it at least twice a month. And so I shop in multiple stores, but whichever store, like usually it's the warehouse store, I don't want to go and wait in the lines because they have the long lines. So I'll usually do the certain things I buy, like I might get my fresh vegetables and meats and stuff at the grocery store, and I'll go to the grocery store, but then I'll have the warehouse store deliver like the drinks and stuff like that. So I do it twice a month consistently, sometimes more frequently, just depending upon if the weather's really bad. Like last week, I got 2 deliveries because I just did not want to go out in the rain and drag groceries around. So
And
Are
so,
any of the big Asian markets on Instacart or any of the other delivery services?
let me type that in. I'm going to do Asian food
Yeah, okay,
market.
there's H Mart. I see
H
that.
Mart, but you can see here, it says the Asian food market is not available in my area, so they're not part of Instacart, but H Mart is. So you can always search for the stores to see what you want. And again, everybody's different in how they want to order. I'm not real big about ordering seafood or meats or stuff online, but I will tell you, I have friends that have no problem ordering meats and seafood online and they're comfortable and they've never had issues. So,
And I just wanted to ask one question. So it's primarily groceries that you're getting. So if you need any kind of things that you would ordinarily get from a drugstore, if the grocery store doesn't have that, you're out of luck. So it's mostly groceries we're talking about here. Is that correct?
It is, but you can get anything because it's based on the store. So, Home Depot, Lowe's, Target. Um, a lot of times I may or get groceries from Target because I may need some other things. Um, I had to buy a baby gift for someone and it had been a long time, and this was like last year, and I wanted to get them a gift and but I needed groceries and I didn't want to go to two different stores, so I ordered my groceries from Target and I bought a bunch of baby outfits and wrapping paper. And it did all of it, and it just made my life simpler so I didn't have to go to multiple stores
Okay.
to shop. But you can go to pharmacy, like here you can always do CVS or Walgreens, and it'll tell you how quickly they can deliver. It doesn't mean they can necessarily fill your meds that quickly, but they can say how quickly they can deliver something. You can do beauty stuff. You can do pets. I have a friend of mine who does all those big bags of pet foods. When she gets like a 50 or 60-pound bag of pet food, she has it done online, so she doesn't have to load it in her car and outside of her car. She's a solo ager, so she doesn't want to deal with it. So she buys all her pet food online. So you have a lot of options. And again, this is only Instacart. You can use Amazon Fresh. You can use other groups. I have just found this to be the most user-friendly for me to meet my needs.
Okay.
And we've
All
got a
right.
comment here from somebody that does get delivery from H Mart, and she has no problems with it, was very happy with the deliveries. So,
That's great. Now I will send out the presentation to ANV so you can package it if you're welcome to email it out. And so folks have this as well. That'll have the senior phone number if you have issues or you just want to review. I didn't go through all the slides, but a lot of what I talked about, I did summarize in slides to make it easier for you to keep as a reference.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you again, Jenny. This was very helpful and very educational. We learned a lot today about online grocery shopping and other kinds of shopping when you're just don't want to go out, and maybe even as you get older, this might be something you'd want to continue to do. So thank you so much, Jenny.
No problem. Thank you all.